We are continuing our study in the Gospel of Matthew. I thank you for coming alongside me in this video as we look at what Jesus is trying to speak to the church in this day and in every generation. Matthew chapter 16 and verse 21, reading from Goodspeed's translation. It is then that Jesus Christ, for the first time, explained to his disciples that he had to go to Jerusalem and endure great suffering there at the hands of the elders, high priests, and scribes, and be killed, and be raised on the third day. The Goodspeed translation. When a young couple are planning to be married, they can be encouraged to take some counseling. In these sessions of premarital counseling, a number of issues that arise in marriage will be discussed. In broad terms, the goal of premarital counseling is to deal with the issue of naivety. This couple is clearly in love. They would not be talking about marriage and the desire to get married if they were not in love. But the reality is that people who are truly and deeply and madly in love, especially at this stage, are often blind to each other. And if they have never lived with each other, they may not really have a full grasp of who they are committing themselves to and what it's going to take to make that relationship to work. So premarital counseling is a way for people to discover things that you really don't want to discover after the marriage ceremony. Things that could have a major impact. Was the person previously married? Does that person have a child from a previous relationship? Or was that person ever in prison? The point is that marriage counseling, and I've given you some extreme examples, but there are others that we could throw in that could equally be derailing to a marriage. The point of premarital counseling is help by dealing with potential landmines. Far easier to discuss some of these issues before, as it were, you signed on the dotted line to be married to that individual. Now, here's the thing. The disciples who followed Jesus were in some ways very naive. In particular, they did not understand the power of the demonic that operated in their world. They were following Jesus and entranced by what he taught and did. And let's be clear, if I was there and was in their sandals and wearing their togas, I would be entranced by what Jesus was doing. I mean, wow, wow, and more wow. But understand that wow factor did not lead to a comprehension of who and what they were dealing with Jesus, and just as equally true, what was out there in the world. What they could not or maybe not get right and would not see is that the forces of evil in the world around them would not go down without a fight. We've talked in a previous reading and how we are in a section of Matthew where the tone is much darker. Now Jesus spells an exact detail. It says in Matthew, for the first time, what is awaiting Jesus? The naivety of the disciples was akin to that of a young couple who are going to get married because they are in love. And in the meantime, oblivious to the issues that will arise in the life of their marriage that can absolutely torpedo that marriage and put undue stress on that relationship. Now, let's take another extreme example. In every generation, people fall into the trap of having an affair. In the midst of being married, people, for a variety of reasons, turn to someone outside the marriage to meet needs that they feel are not being met in their marriage. Now, understand I'm generalizing here, taking a number of situations and just generalizing. but I think what I say is true in most of these situations. An affair can only happen because people choose to be naive. Notice the emphasis here, and this is important. I did not say that the people were naive. I said that the people choose to be naive. And an adulterous affair can only work because people choose to be naive. People do not engage in affairs to have a serious and engaging relationship. People look to that relationship to provide something that is missing in their lives. People are thinking that this relationship can work in spite of all that is wrong with it. People think an intense sexual encounter can address what is lacking within. The point is that an affair is only possible because people choose to be naive as to how relationships actually work. I use the relational sexual imagery purposefully in this paragraph and in this reading here. The point is that the disciples of Jesus were in a relationship with Jesus. Naivety destroys relationships because it does not take seriously the dynamics of a relationship. If you are to follow Jesus and do it well, you have to do it with a measure of realism. We need to be aware of the nature of evil in this world and the world's rebellion against its creator. Jesus did not get crucified so I could have eternal life. Jesus was crucified because the world wants nothing to do with God, and God will not allow his creation to go its own way. God comes to us in the form of Jesus to challenge the Lord of this earth, Satan and his minions. And Jesus pushed and pushed and pushed, and the world fought back with a fury that led to his crucifixion. Yes, through his death and resurrection, I have new life. But that new life will be offensive in this world as much as it was offensive in the world of Jesus. Let us not be naive. To be a follower of Jesus and true to that following will offend and cost us in this world.